Saudi Arabia. For years, they've been known as the super conservative country where women can't drive, gay people get flogged, and thieves have their hands chopped off. Now, for the thieves, they can't say they weren't warned. I mean, Saudi Arabia literally has a sword on their flag, so you know. Yeah, they're owning that shit. It would be like if the NFL made its logo a sad brain, you know? Yeah, in a way, you'd kind of respect them for their honesty. But last year, Saudi Arabia got a new leader, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, or MBS for short. Many people were hoping that he would transform Saudi Arabia into a more progressive nation. And on the surface, it seemed like Saudi Arabia was changing. But then, this happened.
Now to the mysterious disappearance that has prompted an outcry around the world.
This is the last time Saudi journalist and Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi was seen alive, entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul last week. What happened next is a mystery. Khashoggi, a vocal critic of Saudi Arabia's crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, told the BBC 3 days before he went missing he knew he'd made powerful enemies.
So, a Washington Post journalist, known for criticizing the Saudi government, was seen entering the Saudi consulates, and then he was never, ever seen again. Now, I'm not a detective, but come on. Yeah, and even though it seems pretty obvious to everyone what happened here, the Saudi government claimed that Khashoggi left its consulates in one piece, right? But then they say he left through the back door, and there's no footage of him leaving because their cameras don't store footage. Which sounds like a crazy excuse to me, because what kind of security cameras don't store footage? It's just like, well, you see, our system was designed by Snapchat. Yes, the picture goes away very quickly. Not useful, but the puppy filter, adorable, really wonderful. So according to the Saudi government, this journalist is not dead. He's just hanging out in Malaysia with Tupac. But the Turkish government has come out and they're calling BS.
Turkish officials are now painting a very grisly plot. They say that 15 assassins, effectively, Saudi officials arrived on 2 chartered planes. They killed him within 2 hours of his arrival. They took the body out in a convoy of vehicles, including a black van.
Holy shit. 15 assassins, private planes, and a black van. Like, this doesn't sound like real life. It sounds like the opening of a James Bond movie, you know? Like, all that's missing is Idris Elba chasing them in a helicopter. And yes, I just said Idris Elba will be the next James Bond. If you say it, it will happen, people. It's called The Secret. It's called The Secret. So it's looking more and more like Saudi Arabia had Khashoggi killed. And this isn't just a big deal for Turkey and Saudi Arabia. This is an American problem, too, because Khashoggi is an American resident who writes for the Washington Post. And it would be hard for America to continue being allies with a country that assassinates journalists. So President Trump was asked to step in and get to the bottom of what happened.
I just spoke with the King of Saudi Arabia, who denies any knowledge of what took place. The King firmly denied any knowledge of it. He didn't really know. Maybe, I don't want to get into his mind, but it sounded to me like maybe these could have been rogue killers. Who knows? We're going to try getting to the bottom of it very soon, but his was a flat denial.
Wait, what? Did you just say it could be rogue killers? Like, how does Trump always find a way to introduce random suspects into the most obvious crimes? Because you realize he does this every time, right? Like, now they're like, is the Saudis in the cars? Like, maybe it's rogue killers. Before it was like Russia, and he's like, maybe it was Russia, or maybe the hacking was a 400-pound guy in a basement. Like, I would hate to play Clue with Trump. It would be so frustrating. He'd be like, could have been Colonel Mustard, or maybe it was the shoe from Monopoly, folks. We don't know. Nobody knows. Either way, case closed. And one of the reasons President Trump might be so eager to believe the Saudi Arabians is because they've promised him that they'll buy over $100 billion in U.S. weapons. So this is a relationship both sides want to maintain, which is why Saudi Arabia is preparing to release their latest excuse.
Saudi Arabia is getting ready to change its story about the disappearance of a Washington Post columnist in Turkey. The Saudis are now willing to say that Khashoggi was captured inside their consulate in Istanbul and then died during his interrogation.
Saudi leaders are preparing to admit to the accidental killing of Jamal Khashoggi, despite denying that they harmed him or even knew of his whereabouts since his disappearance.
That's something I've never seen in my life. They're like, we never saw this man. But what would you say if we said we did see him, but we killed him by mistake, huh? Well, then you would be punished. Well, in that case, we never saw him.